Believe in yourself, not others. The biggest mistake you will ever make is waiting for someone else to tell you who you are. Most people live their entire life on borrowed confidence, relying on other people's validation, opinions, and approval. But the day you finally choose to believe in your own voice, everything changes. Your confidence changes. Your decisions change. Your life changes. When you rely on others to define your worth, you are essentially giving them ownership of your life. You allow their opinions, moods, judgments, and insecurities to decide who you get to be. And the truth is, most people don't even know what they want for themselves, let alone what you should want for your life. Yet we still fall into the trap of outsourcing our worth, waiting for someone to validate our decisions, tell us we are good enough, or approve the direction we're heading. This is the silent prison that keeps so many people stuck. The moment you wait for someone else to clap for you before you move, you've already agreed to be controlled, because now your progress depends on their applause. Your identity depends on their approval, and your courage depends on their permission. People will always have opinions. Sometimes they will cheer for you, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they will lift you up. Sometimes they will project their fears onto you. If you are dependent on their reactions, you will live a life of emotional instability. High when people praise you, broken when they don't. You end up feeling like a puppet, where every compliment becomes a high and every criticism becomes a wound. This is not confidence. This is addiction to validation. And it is one of the most destructive addictions a person can develop, because it feels harmless but controls everything. The truth is, no one sees your potential as clearly as you do. No one knows your journey, your struggles, or your dreams the way you do. People judge you based on the tiny fraction of your life they see. They don't see your late nights, your sacrifices, your silent battles, your self-improvement, or your private growth. So why give so much weight to their opinions? Why give their passing comments the power to define your destiny? When you allow others to decide your worth, you shrink yourself to fit their expectations. You start living smaller, dreaming smaller, acting smaller, not because you can't do more, but because you are afraid of disappointing people who don't even understand your vision. Real strength comes when you take back the power you've been giving away. When you stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, what do I think of myself? That simple shift can change the entire direction of your life. When you decide that your worth comes from within, not from outside opinions, you become unstoppable. No rejection can break you. No judgment can shake you. And no person can ever again control the path you choose to walk. Too many people live their lives as if their value is something that must be earned from someone else. They wake up each day wondering what others will think of them, waiting for approval before they take action, and hesitating because someone might disagree or disapprove. But this is a trap. When you let other people define your worth, you are no longer living your life. You are living in the reflection of someone else's expectations. You give away your power the moment you start measuring yourself against others. And the irony is that those people often don't even understand their own worth. So why would their opinion about yours hold any real truth? Every time you wait for a compliment, a validation, or a sign that you are enough, you are surrendering your authority over your own life. Think about it. How often do people praise those who are quietly working, struggling, learning, or improving? Rarely. They only notice the surface level successes, the highlights, the moments that seem perfect from the outside. They don't see the countless hours you put in, the sacrifices you make, the obstacles you've overcome, or the battles you fight in private. Yet, if they don't notice, you start doubting yourself, questioning your path, and seeking their approval as if their recognition determines your reality. That's a dangerous pattern. It trains you to rely on temporary, fleeting validation rather than building a solid foundation of self-belief. When you start outsourcing your worth to others, you are essentially handing them the keys to your confidence. And that's a key you should never give away. Real confidence comes from knowing your own value, from acknowledging your strengths and accepting your weaknesses, from understanding that you are enough, not because someone told you, but because you decided it for yourself. Once you grasp this, nothing can shake you. Criticism becomes feedback, not a verdict. Silence becomes neutral, not judgment. Approval becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Your life stops being a reflection of what others think and starts becoming a projection of who you truly are and who you are capable of becoming. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you stop listening or learning from others. It means you don't let their opinions dictate your identity. It means you take the responsibility for your life and stop giving away your power. You become the authority of your own story, the captain of your own ship, and the architect of your own future. When you finally internalize this, you unlock a level of freedom and clarity that most people never experience. because they are still living in other people's shadows. The moment you choose to believe in yourself, not in what others think of you, you take the first step toward true empowerment. Most people quit too soon because they are waiting for recognition, applause, or acknowledgement from others. They expect someone to notice the effort, to validate the hard work, or to tell them you're on the right track. The problem is, life doesn't work that way. The universe rarely hands out certificates of approval for the late nights, the sacrifice, and the moments when you pushed yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Progress is often invisible at first. The steps you take when no one is watching, the consistency you maintain when no one cheers, and the discipline you show when there is no reward, that is where real growth is born. You have to trust the work itself, even when it feels like it's not paying off. That trust is the bridge between who you are today and who you're capable of becoming. It is easy to lose faith when your efforts go unnoticed, but every step you take is adding to your foundation. Imagine building a house with no one looking. Every brick you lay might seem insignificant, yet when you finish, you have a structure that is solid, dependable, and uniquely yours. Life works the same way. Each small act, each persistent effort, each decision to keep moving forward, even when the applause isn't coming, is building a life that will eventually speak for itself. And when the world finally sees what you've been creating, it will not matter whether they noticed along the way. What matters is that you never stopped. Trusting the work you're doing requires patience and faith. It requires believing that the invisible hours, the mistakes, and the lessons you are learning now are forming the skills, resilience, and character you will need for the future. It also requires ignoring the voices that say, "Why aren't you further along?" Or "Why isn't anyone noticing?" These are distractions designed to make you question your path. Real success comes from mastering the ability to move forward without constant validation. It comes from focusing on the process rather than the applause, and from measuring progress in terms of personal growth rather than external recognition. When you trust your work, you stop comparing yourself to others and start valuing your own journey. You stop seeking approval and start creating results. Every small win, every completed task, every challenge you face without someone cheering for you is a victory that builds your confidence and reinforces your belief in yourself. And the beautiful thing is that when you develop this habit, recognition will eventually follow, not because you depended on it, but because your results are undeniable. In other words, when you trust your work, you don't need validation. Your success validates itself. Self-validation is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, yet it's one that most people never learn. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval from others, teachers, parents, friends, colleagues, and to believe that their opinions define our worth. But the truth is, no one else is living your life. No one else is walking in your shoes, facing your challenges, or dreaming your dreams. And yet, so many people allow themselves to be ruled by other people's opinions. The first step to breaking free is learning to validate yourself. It's about asking, do I see my own progress? Do I appreciate my own effort? Do I acknowledge my own courage? Instead of constantly asking, what do they think of me? When you develop the habit of self-validation, you start to trust your own judgment. You start to rely on your own standards instead of someone else's. This doesn't mean you stop learning from others or ignore feedback. It means that feedback becomes information, not a verdict on your worth. Imagine living a life where your confidence is not dependent on likes, comments, promotions, or applause. That is the power of self-validation. You no longer need to bend yourself to fit other people's expectations because your sense of self comes from within. Self-validation also gives you freedom. It allows you to take risks without the paralyzing fear of judgment. It allows you to try new things, fail, and grow without feeling diminished by criticism. It allows you to define success on your own terms. When you rely on others to tell you you're doing well, you are giving them the power to limit your potential. But when you validate yourself, you become unstoppable. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, every achievement you recognize for yourself builds an unshakable foundation of confidence. Moreover, self-validation is about consistency. It's not a one-time realization. It's a practice you cultivate every day. Celebrate the small wins. Acknowledge the effort, even when the outcome isn't perfect. Encourage yourself when the world is silent. Over time, this becomes a muscle, a mental and emotional strength that allows you to walk into any room, face any challenge, and pursue any goal with unwavering belief in yourself. The voices of doubt may still exist outside, but the voice inside, the one you've trained to recognize your own worth, becomes louder, stronger, and more reliable than anything else. Once you master self-validation, you no longer chase approval. You no longer wait for someone to tell you you're enough. You already know. You already see it. And that knowledge, that internal certainty, is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who remain trapped in other people's opinions. Self-validation is the gateway to freedom, confidence, and unstoppable personal power. Not everyone will believe in you. And the sooner you accept this, the freer you become. It's one of the hardest lessons to internalize because we're wired to want approval and reassurance from others. But the truth is, people doubt you not because you aren't capable, but because they can't imagine doing what you're attempting themselves. Their doubts are reflections of their own fears, limitations, and insecurities, not your potential. When you rely on others' belief in you, you are tying your confidence to their imagination instead of your own ability. That is a dangerous foundation because someone else's doubt has the power to stop you, slow you down, and even derail your progress. The key is to understand that their disbelief is not a verdict. It doesn't define you. It doesn't predict the results you are capable of achieving. You can listen, take what is useful, and discard the rest. But ultimately, your path is yours alone. Many people who have accomplished extraordinary things faced skepticism, criticism, and outright dismissal. If they had waited for approval, for someone to say, yes, you can do it, they would have never started. Your journey is unique, and it doesn't require universal approval to succeed. The more you wait for everyone to believe in you, the longer your dreams stay on hold. Believing in yourself, despite the doubts of others, builds resilience and inner strength. Every time you act, despite the skepticism of those around you, you are training yourself to rely on your own judgment and intuition. You learn to separate the noise from the truth. The noise is the doubt, the criticism, the judgments, the endless opinions that seek to limit you. The truth is your own belief, your own work, your own capacity. When you begin to internalize this, you become unshakable. Criticism no longer wounds you. Rejection no longer stops you. You are no longer at the mercy of others' imagination or fear. This principle applies to every area of life: business, relationships, personal goals, creativity, and even everyday decisions. The moment you stop waiting for everyone to believe in you, you are asking to be slowed down. But the moment you believe in yourself first, your vision gains momentum. Your confidence amplifies, and the world eventually notices not because it gave permission, but because results speak louder than opinions. Remember, the most powerful force driving your success isn't the belief of others. It's your unwavering belief in yourself, even when nobody else sees it yet. Believing in yourself is not just a mindset, it is a lifestyle, choice, and a discipline. It begins with recognizing that your worth cannot and should not be determined by anyone else. Every opinion you seek, every approval you crave, and every comparison you make to others is a step away from your authentic self. When you stop outsourcing your value and start trusting your own voice, you reclaim control over your life. You begin to make decisions rooted in self-respect, self-confidence, and clarity, not in fear, doubt, or the fleeting judgments of others. Life responds to belief. When you believe in yourself, the universe begins to align in ways that reward courage, resilience, and consistent action. Trusting your work, even when no one notices, is another pillar of self-empowerment. Your effort does not go wasted. It builds a foundation of skill, discipline, and character that will carry you to the heights of your potential. Every unseen hour, every silent struggle, every challenge you face without applause is a step toward the life you are creating. You do not need validation from others because the results of your dedication eventually speak for themselves. When you invest in your growth and trust the process, you build a quiet, unstoppable confidence that cannot be shaken by criticism or doubt. Believing in yourself also means learning to validate your own worth and detach from the approval of others. Self-validation is a practice that strengthens your inner voice, nurtures resilience, and creates freedom to pursue your dreams without hesitation. When you honor your own efforts, celebrate your own achievements, and recognize your own growth, you become less affected by judgment, doubt, or negativity from the outside world. This internal strength allows you to face rejection, criticism, and obstacles with poise, and it empowers you to take risks, embrace challenges, and grow in ways that others may never see, but that are shaping the person you are meant to become. Finally, understanding that not everyone will believe in you frees you to focus on what truly matters: your vision, your progress, and your own journey. The doubts of others are reflections of their limitations, not your potential. By trusting yourself, taking deliberate actions, and refusing to be slowed by others' disbelief, you develop a life anchored in self-confidence, authenticity, and unstoppable momentum. When you commit to believing in yourself above all else, you step into a life of true empowerment. A life where your decisions, your dreams, and your success belong entirely to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it inspired you to stop seeking approval from others and start believing in yourself. Remember, your confidence, your growth, and your success are in your hands, not anyone else's. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share, and make sure to subscribe for more motivational content that empowers you to take control of your life. Stay confident, stay bold, and always believe in yourself.